Hello again. Well, today we're going to be looking at something that's not overly complicated. It's my trusty Philips shaver, cordless shaver, and model number, it's an aquatouch, so it can be used in water, and model AT-750. Now, it's been getting a bit dodgy for a little while. I thought when you push the button it didn't respond, and I thought maybe I just wasn't pushing it hard enough, because you'd push it again it'd be fine. But now, after pulling it off the charge yesterday, and I turned it on, and it stays on. If I push it again to turn it off, wouldn't you know, it'll behave on camera. Let's try that again. There you go. I pushed it again, it didn't turn off. Now I pushed it, didn't turn on. Okay, it's not turning on now. So it's very intermittent. Given that it's a water friendly device, it's possibly got a little bit past the seals. I can't remember when I bought it. I can't find the docket, so it's probably out of warranty now. So it's entirely okay for me to pull it apart. And I'll probably find a little bit of corrosion in there, given its intermittency. But I've never submerged it. It's only ever had a great deal of water in it once. All I do is just wash out the end in there. Yeah, it's decided to give up. So let's crack it open. Alright. Flip the end open where the holds all the cutters. That actually comes off, so we'll get that out the way. Just give it a pull, slide out the hinge, and I'll do this on a towel in case there's any water build-up that hasn't made its way out yet. We have 1, 2 Torx style bits in the top. I'll undo them. I don't know how to take this apart. I'm just going to wing it as I go. There's probably going to be, depending how they've made it, something sealed, a join that's going to be hard to pull apart, but then it might surprise us and it might just be 2 screws. So now that's off. There's that retainer for the top, and yeah, a little bit scungy. Probably some clips down in there. I wonder if this will just all slide out if I gently pull. No. So there's going to be some clips holding it, it looks like. Here we go. This splits down the side here. So let's see how that comes away. Can I run a fingernail to unclip it? No. Can I, what about down the main gap there? So it's going to clip together. Let's try a spudger. There can't be a great deal holding this together. Yep, bit of a twist, and the clips are letting go. Try down the other side next. One screw in the bottom. There we go. The unit appears to be a sealed unit, completely sealed. Yeah, how about that? There is a water bypass channel down the sides. It does come out around the charge port, but not through the center of the charge ports, so that's shouldn't be an issue for charging. You probably wouldn't want to plug it in while it was wet under there anyway, but they seem to have thought of everything, so however they've done it. Now there's going to be, it looks like a couple of possibly a couple of clips. I'll just spread that section in the top. Just pulling apart at the top here and lifting the center, and it appears to have let go there. Oh, here it goes. So it's coming up. Clips are probably down. Oh, yeah, there's one. I've got a black clip coming up here through the grey surround. Just pop that out the way. One on the other side. Yeah, she comes. Ta-da! Right, and there we have the on button there, pushes through to the button here. Lots of rubber sealing and so on, so I don't think it's going to be water damage. Looks fairly well put together. Still, you never know. We'll get this clear top cover off next, which just clips down the sides. Right, I've got the clips off and a little bit of a pop. There's a rubber seal all the way around the side. How reliable that'll be now it's opened, who knows. But it does look very dry inside, although it's a bit of flux. Oh, there's a little bit of water. Unless that came off my finger. It does look very clean. It's just a single 2-wire button, so it's not like it's not that it's not pushing it hard enough, because when it does turn on, it's always, or when it doesn't, or when it does turn on, it's always, it's a definite, yeah, I think, we'll check the button, but I don't think it's the button. But it just seemed to happen so readily that I wouldn't have thought it was the button. Now the PCB just looks like it pops out. You can see the motor down in the top there, and a single 570 milliamp hour, probably a NiCad. We have a cell model number. What have we got? SE US14430 VR2 R21 2RVC19B. We could look that up anyway and find out what it is. But the battery is pretty good. It gets about a week out of it. A little bit of rust on the back of the motor, but no, everything else is looking pretty good. Okay, first thing I'll do is pop the oscilloscope on the on-off switch. There's a couple of test points next to it. I'm expecting it to either be pulled high or pulled low to activate, and we've got well, where's that ground? Ground point will be down the bottom here. There's the negative terminal of the battery. We can strap on to, oh, that's interesting. I wonder where that hooked up to. We've got some pins here. Oh, that'll be for the charger. Possibly. Oh no. Yeah, okay, they slot in there. Alright. Oh, they are separate. They look very much connected. No, so here's our ground. Try and get the alligator clip on there. And up here we've got a couple of test points and one on that side. So we'll just see which one it is and see if we can see if there's switching taking place when you push it and it doesn't respond. We'll rule the switch out first. We're on 2 volts per division. It's only a 1.5 volt cell, I think, although now would be a good time to find out. What if it's a 3 volt cell? That'd be interesting. What have we got there? It is a 3 volt cell. Okay, this must be a lithium ion cell. Excellent. That's actually at a state of full charge, and that's showing 3 volts. I would have expected more than that for a full charge. Anywho, alright, so let's look at the first test point on the right hand side. We've got nothing, and then there's one there with 3 volts and another there with 3 volts. So that side of the switch is 3 volts. That side's ground. It should ground the signal when I hit the go button. which it did briefly, and then it dropped back up. I saw it hung around after I let go. That's interesting. I'm actually probing directly on the switch because I don't know exactly which test point it is. There you go. It's rising back up. I wonder if it's just a dead time in that I'm trying to turn it off too soon and it can't until it reaches 3 volts again. Okay. It's taking a long time to rise up. I wonder if there's probably a capacitor on the line there that could be a bit dodgy. Yeah, see, if I push it now before it reaches 3 volts, it doesn't stop, but if I let it reach the full 3 volts, which is taking its sweet time. Okay, so it has to get above 2 volts. No, maybe it's a bit more than 2, maybe it's 2.5. Flick the switch and it's not. No. Okay. Yeah, I think there might be an unhappy capacitor on the line there. Let's trace it through. Okay, so close enough to see some detail. Here's our switch on the left, and I'm just going to check which test point that goes to of the two here. It's just a continuity check. Okay, it actually goes to both of them, which is interesting. It goes double-sided board, I think, too, although no, I think it is only single-sided. I didn't see much on the other side. If we follow that test point, there's a trace that comes along into a resistor here. There's 2 resistors, one there, one there. So that comes along to one of these. Nope. Okay, I could have sworn that trace went through to here. Let's take a closer look. Certainly does. It goes from there to, I can't have had a good connection. That resistor, there we go, which is connected to the leg of this transistor. It's going to fail me again. No. Alright. Okay, so it's from the test point through the trace on top to the second resistor in, through that resistor to this transistor here. And I think it also goes straight underneath to the chip that controls everything, and we need to find out what that transistor is doing. Because that does, yeah, it's all tied in. Don't see any capacitors though, so it might be a case of maybe one of the resistor values has gone a bit funny on it, or maybe the transistor is starting to fail us and isn't fully switching off or on when it should. I'm starting to have my doubts about the power switch, so I just had a thought, having a look at that resistor transistor combination and probing it with a scope, and I'm thinking, what if the on-off switch is not disengaging completely, or it's got a little bit of moisture inside it that's allowing a stray current to form? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my tweezers, very out of focus tweezers, just to short across the terminals of the switch, and I will scope when I do that, and we'll see if the waveform immediately recovers or if it still floats up, because if it immediately recovers, then it's probably not, well, I mean, it probably is inside the switch because we haven't made the contacts make and break. If it still floats around really weird like, it's probably not the switch, although if it has liquid in it, I suppose a low voltage could still take time to recover, but at least, anyway, we'll give it a shot. So here we go. And it popped up right away. There you go. On. Off. Immediate recovery. So now I'm really suspecting the on-off button, because it wasn't toggled, it didn't get disturbed. So let's see, that's with the button, and you can see the very slow recovery. And again, there it goes. So I might just remove that switch from the circuit and measure its resistance and see what's going on there. So let's have a crack at removing the little button. Just put a little bit of fresh solder on there just to make it a little bit easier. Get the old lead-free stuff mixed in. And then what I'll do is heat one side and lift up on it ever so gently. You don't want to lift up too hard, because if it lets go and you flick it up, you end up bending the lead on the other side off, which is not going to help anything. So we'll just gently does it. Might just put a bit of weight on the other side of that to stop it wiggling around. Nothing like a weight of a roll of solder. It's all lead, so she's nice and heavy and quite handy to use. There we are, just high enough so that you can wipe away the solder in between the pad and the leg, and off it comes. Roll of solder makes for a good little work table as well. So we'll just see if there's any sort of resistance across the pins without pushing the button. If there might be a high resistance. No, that looks fine. Now to try and do it while pushing the button, which is going to be even trickier. Here we go. Oop. Okay, oh, hello. I'm just going to remove the little spike of solder on there, which is not allowing it to lie flat. Just flatten that off. Try again. Nope, I got no connection there at all. Ah, here we go. Didn't have a good connection, so I'm getting 18 mega ohms on that switch. If I click it down, I'm getting 105 ohms, which is not overly low for a switch, so it'll be, you'd expect dead short. Then I'll release it, and I'm getting 2.6 meg and climbing, so there's definitely something going on in that switch that shouldn't be. So what I'm going to do next is pop the little silver cap off the top of it and have a look at the guts, and you'll see, if you can see on the side there, we have there's two little plastic pieces. You can see they're actually sticking through the metal. There's cutouts in the metal, so those are little clips that this metal top cover sits over. So we're going to need to lift up the edge and lift it off over those clips. So this is where something with a very fine point, or a very fine flat screwdriver will come in handy, because we need to, now these things generally aren't, I don't think, are made to be serviced, but I still give it a shot. So we're just going to lift up near the clip on the I'm just going under the center, and I'm just, wish I had a better microscope or something, just lifting it in a way that it sort of pushes it off as well as up, so it goes up and over the clip. And we'll just do the same on that side, and already she's almost off. Oh yeah, there's a little rubber seal under there. That button that sticks through is rubber. It looks like it's all one piece to try and stop moisture getting in, so that's pretty neat. Oh, and it's off. Let's pop it back on our little workbench. Slightly magnetic too. Righty ho. After unclipping the top shield, we can now pop that off, and that's going to come with the button as well by the look of it. We turn that over. There we can see a it's just a bit of spring steel that's been creased so that it bounces back to shape, and it's got a pretty dirty blotch right in the middle, which I'll try and get a closer look for you. And looking at the rest of it, you can see when the center pushes down and touches the center, the left side makes contact. The shiny left strip up the left side there passes through to the center piece, which goes out to the connection on the other side. But does look a bit dirty. So with my artificial, somewhat artificial macro, there you can see a bit better. It's looking a bit dark right in the center, and on the lid itself, on the plate, you can see quite a dark spot in the middle. So I'm going to clean that up, and that should give us a nice low resistance, and hopefully a low resistance that lets go after I've let go of the button. It has a very good click feel to it, so it's not it's not that it's not releasing, but certainly something in there is causing a path between the two. Start with a Q-tip and a bit of electronic cleaner, and just give it a bit of a wiggle round in there. See if that helps bring anything up. It's a little bit of something come off on the Q-tip, but not a huge amount. Be interesting to see how that center dimple is under a stronger lens. I'll just pop my magnifier on and have a look. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on the camera so well. In the very center, it has a slightly raised section, like the center of a nipple, and it looks slightly tarnished, so I might just touch that with a bit of emery paper. On second thought, we could just see what resistance we get between the pin and the top of that. It could be alright. Okay, I'm getting solid 0 ohms. So it's not tarnished, it's just a dark coloured metal, and we'll leave that alone. We don't want to wear it down. We definitely need to clean the center contact, of course, so we'll look at that, and I wonder if just a simple wipe of the Q-tip might do it. Probably need a little bit more, but whoa! Okay, that wiped the black smudge off pretty quick. Actually, no, it didn't. Okay, there's two parts. As you can see, to the right, part of it just fell off. So there's two parts to that. We don't want to lose that little part there. We do want to try and clean it, however. I think I'll use my fiberglass brush on that just ever so slightly, and with careful pressure and such. We don't want to flick it across the room. It will be tears for all involved. That's cleaning up really well. Wonderful. Now to reassemble this thing and to give it a test. I'm not going to put this piece back up onto here, because as I invert it, it's just going to fall off. And I think this part might fall off as well. It just rotated. So what I'm going to do is put it in situ, upside down, and lower the top down onto it. Doesn't help when things are partially magnetic. There we go. So it just sits in there like that, and one side making sure it's touching the top of that strip. You can't really go wrong. And then we'll straighten this bit up. I'm not sure if that's separate or if it's part of the button. I think that's actually separate. I might just take that off as well. It's going to come off. Yep, alright. Handy to know, I suppose. If we completely tarnish the one underneath, we could replace it with the one on top. Just switch them. It's like a spare parts inside the button. It's pretty cool. Oh, and then you twitch and the bloody thing flips upside down and you lose it all. Okay. Who went on first? I think you went on first. Then you went on last. They both look identical. So I think it wouldn't matter which one went on. No, that was the top one because it's got a little mark where the button's pushing on it. So this one goes on first. I'm sure this is extremely painful to watch. Just got to have patience. Like I said, these little buttons are really not serviceable. I don't think they ever intended them for someone to clean them or what have you at some point. But little black rubber seal there. Make sure that button's sitting up inside, and we want to pop that down on and clip it back on. Now, because we get a better angle on this, because we to remove this we pushed out on the sides, there's a small chance these are slightly bent outwards, so when we sit it back down they won't grab the plastic hooks. So you want to have a look at it and make sure they're pointing straight down, these side bits, and make sure they're pointing straight down. If not, you can just give them a little squeeze together, so when you put it on, it latches on nice and tightly. And the unit completely assembled again. Horrible focus. Let's check that resistance. Untangle my leads, and here we go. We've got nothing there. Give it another switch. Oh, we're sitting about 100 ohms, depending on where my leads are. But when I let go, I've got nothing, not even meg ohms. So I think we'll be right. Probably can't expect a perfect connection, but 100 ohms is certainly going to be enough to drop that voltage to switch it on. I'll pop it back in and see what happens. Use a bit of solder wick to remove any excess on the pads, just so that it'll sit flat, and because you want the buttons to sit flat, you want to make sure that it's not crooked or it won't go back in the case properly. Also, we haven't removed the battery, so if you're waving wick around, just be careful it doesn't connect to 2 points that it shouldn't as well. A little bit of solder. Where are we? Yep. Fresh solder on the tip and pop it into place. Probably could come a little bit this way. It's not quite lined up with the other pad. Here we are. Should be able to get some solder onto the other pad now. And now the moment the scope has been patiently waiting for. Will it work? Let's see. Get a ground on there and get a probe on there. We've still got our 3 volts. Oh, if we can get a decent connection. There we go, and we'll go on. And look at that, it came up right away. And off. On. Off. On. off. There we go. Must have somehow got a little bit of moisture in the switch, which isn't too flash. It's not pulling huge current across those terminals, and given it's got a big rubber seal under the lid, it's not too good at all. However, that was it. Nice and simple, but it did make sense, didn't it, when you sort of think about it. You probably get bored watching me reassemble this, but what else are you going to do? Hey, make sure that this end snaps into the 2 pins that go through into the case. Has to click down and mate with those, and then we've got our waterproofing case with the black seal around the edge. We'll just inspect that and make sure it didn't pop out of place when we removed it, so that when it goes back in, it's going to have half a chance at keeping the water out. Now these little legs here that lock in, I may have bent them out a little bit more than I needed to. Just make sure that they're sitting in a bit so that when they go down they latch. That'll pop in. Line up. Make sure you hear a little snap as you push down, so you know that it's clicked over the catch. There's the odd one there, but I think it'll be held in place alright by the case when it slides in. I don't fully submerge my one, and I don't use it in the shower, so it ain't gonna matter. Just a quick wash out in the end is all it needs, and that's just fine. Now that went back into there, and that had a snap into place as well. And then the top shell, which also just clicked into place. Okay, where was I? Memory card full. What's next? Battery will go flat? I'll probably speak too soon. So, why isn't this going back on? It's an awfully tight fit. Maybe I just need to put a bit of pressure behind it. There you go. Squeeze. And there we are. Yay! Excellent. Right, we'll put the top on, put some screws in it, and she'll be all home and hosed. All done. Thanks for watching. Not one of the most exciting ones, but I may have something more interesting coming up. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching.